Thought he was here. This is not the smartest guys in the room.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Yeah, Tom, I still hear the backbeat, man. It's coming now on a different mic. It's crazy.
That's weird. I don't hear anything on my end. We can ask folks as they come in, but I don't hear anything on my end.
Okay. Jason, you hear something weird coming out of Tom's mic? Because we were trying it on live stream. I don't know if it's his or mine. We need answers, Jason. Now we want your straight shooting. Let's see what he says. Tristan, what's going on? Not the smartest guys in the room. Jason says, okay, he's got answers. Let's see, Jason, what do you got for us? Go, Jason, go on.
Yeah, his mic sounds horrible. There must be a technical glitch in either his transmission or I don't think it's his mic. So there's.
How do we sound now?
Sound better.
Cool.
No, it's not great though, Tom.
There's a reverb in your voice though. There's a little bit of feedback in your voice though.
That is strange. Let me check some things real quick.
Okay, do your thing, man. So, not the smartest guys in the room. We had a Creative Con event last night with some presenters. It was great to see so many people in one space, inspiring people. Just the mission there is kind of that there's so many people out there that want to be like John Wiley, that want to be like Jason, Leslie, Julie, that have a story to share. And that's a lot what we do in this room too. So many people have a story to share. And they've been told they don't matter. They've been told that they don't have the ability. They don't sound right. They don't look right. All this stuff, which is all bullshit. If you have a story to share, you need to get out and share it, whether it's on Clubhouse, whether it's through video. And that's what we kind of talk about here a lot is different ways to share the story. And that's what at Creative Con, we're hoping to bring a bunch of experts into a room for 2 days and say, hey, you want to start a podcast? Go for it. You're a mom who's looking to supplement her income with following her passion about makeup. Go for it. You're a businessman who wants to write a book about fishing. Well, let's talk about it. You can do it. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about consistency and practice. Johnny, you got to get up here and talk about practice. How many times has he done his routine? How many times have you shared your message? How many times have you posted? John Jay, how many times did you, John Jay, do you ever post stuff and realize what you wrote sucks? Like I look at stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah, every day.
Okay, so one, do you go back and edit it? Do you just delete it? What do you do?
If I see the most common thing is I'll have like the word was repeated back to back. So I'll go edit it. But the reality is most people don't pay as much attention to what you post as you do. So it's about getting a response, which for me is about driving traffic or increasing engagement. And it's less about how I say what I say. So the days of being an expert are long gone for me. It's more about constantly putting out content so that I can attract more attention and drive more traffic.
100%. 100% agree with that. How many, I run into so many people that are like dealing with a lot of the authors I deal with. Some are speaking and getting paid 5 figures to speak every week. And then others might be, they might work at a college and want to write their first children's book and have never shared their message in any way. And so it's uncomfortable to post for the first time about like selling a product or letting people know you have a product. And so it is always, I consider a learning experience and practice. So I would love to talk about practice. But first, Tom, I'm looking at Tom out of the side. Why is Tom over there? Interesting. He's on the wrong screen. I'm looking sideways. So Tom, let's hear your mic now.
Yeah, I mean, all the settings are the way the settings typically are. So you tell me. I can't hear what my mic sounds like. So you tell me.
It sounds, Tom, like you're too close to the microphone. It's overmodulating a bit.
It's overmodulated. Okay, I'll drop the level on it a second. So give me a minute, Tom, and then come
No,
back.
this is why we got experts, man. We learning about all these things. Okay, so one of the things me and Tom started to talk about, and like I mentioned, like when the movie business was around, Pittsburgh had a booming set, boom, and so I'd go out and because I'm always studying storytelling in different ways and want to learn how they do it on screen. How many people does it take? So I'll go pick up odd jobs, meet people. I meet people in the industry, share some ideas, that kind of thing. But one of the things, no matter where I'm at, if I'm ever on screen or on camera, they are always tucking my shirt in. Like they come to the back of me. Like I think I have like a normal tuck, and they'll like look at me. Like I try to like avoid everybody, never be seen, and they'll be like, "That guy, pull his shirt," and then they'll pull it in the back and like tuck it into your underwear. I mean, it is. Why are they, Tom? Why are they messing with me like that? And I want to. And one more thing about. Go on, Tom.
I was going to say, so hopefully that helps a little bit, John. Let me know if that fixed the overmodulation issue. But yeah, it's I don't know why the people you've worked with are so obsessed with you having your shirt tucked in. It was funny when you said that to me before, because I actually am from the opposite side of things. So like when I'm on set, depending on, like what hat I'm wearing that day, if I'm there as the director of photography, what I'm looking for is the ability to hide a microphone on somebody. And if I want to hide a microphone on somebody, they're having their shirt untucked is way easier than having it tucked in. So like, I don't really understand in terms of like wiring the mic, hiding the wire, hiding the mic pack, the transmitter, like all of those things. It's just so much easier if their shirt's untucked. I don't understand why they're like obsessing over you tucking your shirt in. It's an odd, unless the only thing I can think of based on what you said to me was they want your shirt tucked in because of how it looks on the front. Like in that they want it tucked in the back and they're cinching it up to pull it tight.
That's what I think's going on, but it's every set where I could be the driver for, I'm an FBI agent driving a car, and all of a sudden they're like, "That guy." I'm like, you're not even going to see me. And they're like, his shirt. Or I picked up some weird modeling gig one time, and they were like, they said to me, Can you pretend like you're working? That's what for a day you just took pictures of you. Like they said, can you pretend like you're working? I said, I've been doing it for 20 years. And the whole time, every time they saw me, they came over and they're really giving me a complex about how I look with the tucked in shirt. Okay. Sorry. Not the smartest guys in the room. We're going to continue to talk about consistency, practice. Jason, go on.
Dom, let me know if the mic sounds better. You didn't say it didn't sound better, but somebody in the chat said it was.
Sounds better now.
Tom, it's better, but it's still really garbled. And you have got a sound audio engineer expert that just came on stage, Sean Savage, who can probably help you with that.
Okay, let's Sean Savage teach us, man. But be nice. People aren't nice. I'm not a fan. But go on, Sean. What do you got? What's he need to do? Now I don't hear you, Sean.
That's kind of funny. This is kind of funny.
Oh no, you're hearing me. It was just for dramatic effect.
There you go. Good. What do you got, man? What's Tom need to do?
What does Tom need to do?
Yeah, it sounds muffled or something. Not just as crisp as usual.
I'm going to need a teeny bit more info, though. I don't know what his setup is, but typically distortion. It's going to be a couple of different places. It's the mic going into the unit or the mic coming into here on Clubhouse. It's going to be one of those places.
Yeah, it could be a connection. But like I said, I can't hear myself. So I'm going to have to throw some monitors in and see if I can hear what's going on and try to.
It's getting better, but it's not the booming.
What's your setup quickly, Tom? So
it's way too complicated to explain quickly. Yeah, it's not a. I'm not using a straightforward set. I mean, I own a production company, so I've got. Yeah, it's a much more complicated setup than your average. Like I'm not using a USB mic or something like that. So I appreciate that, but I've just got to troubleshoot it for a minute. But give,
Cool.
but,
All right.
but Sean, by all means, give the folks in the room who might be using something like USB mic, maybe some quick tips and tricks to make
Yeah,
sure.
what do you got? What do you got, Sean? Give me who like I'm using a thing plugged in so I can see the phone, like just my typical Apple headphones. I've been forever. I've wanted to get a mic that I could plug into my phone and plug into my computer. I just haven't pulled the trigger. So
Shure MV7.
yeah, MV7.
That would allow you to do both. I guess typically, and just so everybody know with my setup, because I'm doing remote radio, it's a mic into a mixer, into a compressor, and into Clubhouse on an iPad. But just for most people, the biggest thing is just the room. If you have a good room that isn't very reflective, people will be able to focus on your voice, and especially with the spoken voice, whether it's in Clubhouse or in a podcast or on the radio. The difference between sort of that pro sound and a normal sound is compression. And what that is it just limits the dynamics. So when you get really loud or you get really soft, you're still going to have a great level as far as being able to be heard. And going into Clubhouse, I mean, we all know the app is designed to just be on your phone. You can just use headphones or AirPods, and that's kind of what it does, right? The cool thing with Clubhouse is you're allowed to have stereo sound, which can have you put in music and getting good levels and that sort of thing. So as far as getting sort of to the next level there, getting a compressor into your signal chain, if you can, usually makes a big difference. And now that can be sort of intimidating for people who don't know what a compressor is or how to use it, which is fine. But the best way to get good sound is to be in a room that isn't reflective. And I've been on here, what is it now? 3 years. Wow. And I've heard people on here just with AirPods, but they're in a nice room that isn't sounding like an oil tanker and people can understand them. It really does depend on your setup. Like I know, John has a different setup than Johnny would have. I love Johnny takes us on trips wherever he's going. It's always the same time of day. So being in the moment too can be cool. But for most people who want to get on here and have great sound, the room is very important. Very, very important.
Sean, we thought Johnny used to be a truck driver because we'd hear I think he was side hustling as a 18-wheel truck driver.
Well, when he comes when we have the podcast pros room, because his schedule is kind of regular, where he's kind of leaving from work and going there, but he takes the time to grace us with his presence, and it's always cool when he's like, "Okay, I'm going to this job, and we're there with him." So that's a great thing when people take us on the road with them.
And so this morning, I left my earbuds at home, and by mistake. I have no habits, Dom. And so I forget stuff, and I leave stuff behind all the time. And so this morning I left my earbuds at home, and I am driving into the office in Germantown, Tennessee. But the reason why it used to sound like I was driving a big rig was because I was.
Okay,
I
go
was driving a big Suburban that had the loudest engine and had no AC. So I had to keep the windows cracked to keep from dying in the Tennessee summer heat.
Yeah, those Suburbans are crazy. Like I know Johnny, you're pretty much same height I am. I'm 6 foot. And the first time I literally had to climb into it. I felt like I was a little kid.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, here, Johnny, since you're here, I'm going to bring up something. You brought up a subject a couple weeks ago that I wanted to touch base on again, and so we can dig into this right now. We talked about, Johnny said, we were talking about the NFL, and you guys, you all know that I'm a Steeler fan. I love waving that towel. And Tom talked about the tribalism, and we said, what if in our businesses, we could create that loyalty that the NFL, that the Steelers have, that those teams have, that the colleges have. And so I was thinking about it. We talked about community, we talked about tribalism, we talked about they're consistent, all these things they do good. Like if I go on Instagram right now, I'm seeing posts from the Steelers. If they're on the news, they're doing podcasts, they're doing feel good stories, they're doing all these things. And so we're like, well, what else? What other businesses are like that, where it's generational? It's dad passed down to son. And I was thinking, I went to the Garden to see Billy Joel a couple months ago, and in front of me, me and my wife love it. In front of us was a dad with his wife, with his daughter. And Johnny, it felt like it was that same type of community. And at one point, everybody's singing the songs together. And so the question is to everybody in this room, what can we do to build a better, a stronger community? So any tips? So first, go on, Sean. I'm going to hit Johnny, Julie, and Leslie, and Tristan too. So go on, Sean.
This is a great topic, Dominic. I grew up in England, just to let everybody know. And when you talk about what you're talking about, and you talk about soccer, we'll call it football because that's what they call it over there. What you're talking about, the tribalism, the history in the community, right, Tristan? Football is just 100 on all of those levels. And a lot of people try and shoehorn that into a North American ideal. And I think it has to come from the other way. You can't go outside in, it's inside out. And where it starts is with, when you're talking about community, it's more about a small town. It's a non-metropolis ideal where there's not a lot of distractions. And what inevitably happens is that community forms around a sports team or an ideal or an institution or a company, because it's right from the get-go, the town is small, there's not a lot of distractions, and there's not a lot of things to do, and people want to form community around things with the least amount of effort. That's what I've seen. So when you're in a big town like Pittsburgh, there's a lot of distractions, but then it's like, okay, what thing is something we can gather together with? And then, okay, well, the sports team has the money to do the marketing. But the smart play here, and I found this with a lot of my customers, is, we could kind of equate that to your topic or your niche, but you want to focus on a small group of people who are focused on few things, and you can kind of fit your show or your podcast within that and try to get them to focus on that. And then that tribalism and loyalty, I think, will expand from there.
All right. Thank you, brother. I hear you. So let's go. Tom, go on, and we'll go to Julie, Leslie, and around the boat. Do your thing.
Yeah, man. So I think when it comes to building that sort of like what we were talking about really with that tribalism and stuff was a loyal audience, right? We're talking about building a loyal following. And I think the person, in my mind, I saw somebody post about this earlier today, but the one person who's really killing it that we all know of in this area is Taylor Swift, right? Just absolutely killing it. Taylor Swift's fans, Swifties, right, are incredibly loyal to her, right? Loyal to her brand, loyal to her offerings, right? So you look at she's just put on the highest grossing tour of all time, right? Grossing over $1 billion. This latest tour that she just did, the Eras tour, right? Or she might still be doing it. I'm not sure. I don't know all the dates. But over $1 billion grossing on this tour. And now they've released a film of the tour performance, right? Of her doing the tour performance. That film is now the #1 grossing movie in theaters, right? And I think it's because she has consistently over time delivered value on top of value on top of value on top of value for her audience. You hear people talking about her Eras tour. She could 100% go out, do a 45-minute set, and people would still pay a ton of money to go see her. But what does she do? She goes out and she does like 2.5 to 3 hours on stage every single performance. She over delivers at every opportunity, right? And what does her fan base do? What does her audience do? They over deliver for her in return, right? So I think that's really the key is, and I will beat this drum until my arms are incapable of beating a drum. But lead with value, deliver value that your audience, your community needs or wants, right? Deliver that value, deliver it above and beyond their expectations, and I guarantee that you will reap the rewards. If you do it right, if it's value that they want and they need and you don't attach strings to it, they will 100% respond in kind. It's the way the world works. It's the rule of reciprocation. It's embedded in us. It's part of our culture. You can't avoid it. So that's what I think about that.
Okay, love it, Tom. And we're going to dig into this, Taylor. I went to a Taylor Swift concert a couple years back, took my daughter, loved it. And the one thing that I will say that stuck out to me then, and that she gave value. The songs were good, she sang all the hits, that kind of thing. But the way, for me, it was the gratitude. It was that she thanked so many times. Thank you, Pittsburgh. I was out there. It wasn't so long ago that I was here and hurting. Thank you for coming out. Thank you. She did not miss an opportunity to thank everybody. And she did it so many times and so personal. And it came off, even though she's been on tour 100 times, thousands of times, the way she was doing it that day, I'm like, holy cow. Like, I think she really means it. I'm glad to spend whatever money I came. Let me buy my daughter a shirt, come on. So, Julie Leslie, we're going to talk building community. John and Jason, we're just going to keep going around. So tips to building community. Julie, what do you got? You Swifty, or how are you doing it?
Am I Swifty?
Are you a Swifty?
What do you mean a Swifty?
Is she listening? Forget it.
I didn't understand.
Julie's just a little slow. She's a little slow.
No.
I thought you meant Brian Swift.
Okay, I got it, and this is not for Julie. I got a pet peeve just in general.
I was listening.
Concert,
Pittsburgh, grateful.
Yeah, you're good. Pet peeve in Clubhouse in general. And tell me anybody flash or don't flash, or maybe I'm just a jerk. Sometimes we're having a room and stuff like that, and you're talking, and then all of a sudden somebody comes up on stage and they're like, yeah, what are we talking about? It's like a harsh, put the brakes on, stop. Like, oh, what are we talking about today? Well, you could have just waited, So, Julie, anybody have that pet peeve, or is it just me?
That really seemed like it was targeted at me.
No, it wasn't.
I didn't understand the Swifty. I gotta say.
I don't think it was, Julie. I don't think it was.
No, I would never. I would never target Julie. She's my creative.
Once again, a demonstration of Dom's riddled with ADHD.
Riddled.
Johnny, me and Julie are partners for Creative Con, and it was her idea, and I'm thrilled to partner with her. I think she's got more ADHD than me. What do you think, Julie? Or is mine worse than yours?
I'm going to object.
Okay.
I don't know why you say that, but we have a conversation. We have to talk about that. But there might be truth in it. I'm always open. I definitely, my brain works a mile a minute. And sometimes I can see it in someone's eyes when I've totally lost them. And they're like, wait, I thought we were talking about what's for breakfast today. And I'm like, talking about something.
And we talked, and Johnny talked about that last week, like not being able, like you got so much going on. He said, hey, I can't tell everybody everything I got going on, or they're going to look at me like I'm crazy. Tom said the same thing. So,
absolutely. I get
you guys all
crazy
talking
looks
about me?
when I go through my laundry list of like all the things I have going on at any given moment in time, people look at me like I'm out of my mind, which I am. I fully own the fact that I'm a lunatic, right? But like, yeah, people are like, you're out of your mind. What are you doing? Why are you
Yeah.
doing so many things? And I'm like, I can't help it,
Yeah.
right? Julie knows what I'm
It
saying. You
seems
can't
so
help it,
boring.
right?
It seems so like average and boring, but I think that's where creatives are born. You know, you can't have that normal streamlined 9 to 5. I'm going to just clock in, clock out, make dinner, go to sleep. That just does not appeal to me on any level at all. for
Julie,
real.
so I see you have this like following. They would come and beat people up for you. They would do whatever you
Yeah,
asked. How do you create such a supportive community? Any
I
tips?
do. And you know what? I've reflected on this, and it's not really because of me. It's because of how I make the person in the space, no matter what, feel like they are the most important person in the world. And that this is the truth. And I've learned this over years of building different communities. Just when you are in a space, saying their name, looking them in the eye, connecting them with other people. I always love to connect people with other people to grow whatever that they're wanting to build in their life. It is the most genuine way in my mind to create that loyal following. And I go over and beyond for not only just clients, but friends and family, because I sometimes it's not manipulative, but sometimes I ask for favors like, hey, can you fly into Chicago in February and speak on my stage, Admiral? And former national security advisor, the president. And he says yes, because he knows how much I do care. But it is all about people. It's making them feel seen and heard and taking your ego out of all of it, because our egos get us in so much trouble. So I am going to land my plane there and just concentrate on one thing at a time today.
Good stuff, Julie, and that taking your ego out of it. So important, smart stuff. Leslie, what do you got on building communities, Taylor Swift, or practicing messages, or just a question you want to ask? You got experts in podcasting and publishing and production. Go on. What do you got for us?
Well, when it comes to Taylor Swift, it's funny. She's more low key, not larger than life, growing up in my community, going to the high school, the junior high, and the elementary school before they moved away. And my husband does business with her husband. So there's a lot of connections. My good friend's daughter got married, and her best friend, Taylor Swift, was at the wedding at our country club, and everybody was pissed because they closed the country club down. The people that went to the wedding had to sign waivers. They had to literally, they could not have their phones with them. This was before COVID. So a lot of interesting takes on Taylor. I personally, I don't have girls that are like Swiftie fans in my family. I have 3 sons that are not Swift fans, but good family, good people. So that's why I was laughing when everybody was talking about Taylor Swift. I personally have never gone to any of her concerts, but any of my friends with little girls, older people, they all have been to her concerts. So anyway, my take, I don't know what resonated with me when you guys were talking, was the fact that it's okay to continually go into our toolbox as we become, I guess with our experience. I'm in midlife. There's a lot of tools in that toolbox that we could dust off and tweak and incorporate into whatever practice we have with our passions for podcasting. So don't feel that shifting gears is something that you shouldn't do, because we're always evolving and growing and trying to find really, truly what our heart is resonating with. So that's my share. And thanks for having me up on
Hey,
stage.
good stuff. Nice to see you again. We appreciate you. And I would ask anybody, and like me, and we never make ask in this room, but with Clubhouse changing and everything like that, if I don't think I've ever asked anybody to follow the house, I should have done that. Each of you convinced us to create a house at one point. Should have done it earlier. But if you would follow the house or share the room, whatever, I'd like to show people that Clubhouse isn't dead and there's still a community of good people on here. I jump into each. John, I've been jumping into your room. a couple of times. I'm listening there, so I appreciate you. I'm always in Jason's room. It's fitting in my timeline a little more right now. So, okay. Oh, Jackie. Tom says Jackie discovered I'm a Yenzer. Is it my terrible towel? I want to.
I did not know you were a Yinzer. I grew up a Yinzer. I was there till I was 20, and then California gobbled me up. But I am a Pittsburgher.
California is a beautiful place, and I have a friend.
Nah, you can't use that because you can be a fan anywhere. It doesn't matter where you move. Sorry, I'm not a New Yorker, but I'm a New York Giants fan. Been that way since '86. I ain't changed for nothing. Don't matter where you move. Stay loyal to be your team, not the state.
Hey, I will say when I went to California in November, and we were out there for the air show and stuff around LA, and we went to a Steeler bar one day, and the game starts at 10 in the morning out there, which was different. So I don't know how things are out there, and I didn't think I was out of control or something. I was just rooting for my team. And then all of a sudden they told me, they were like, you're going to have to eat some food before we serve you any more alcohol. And I don't know. I mean, I felt like I was just in normal Steeler mode, not.
It's
were they not
ones? When I moved out there, Dom, it was the year that we won the Super Bowl, but I was only 20 years old. So they let me in a bar with my mom. We were doing Jaeger bombs, and we won the Super Bowl. Oh my God, what was this? I can't even remember what year it was. 2008?
2009, I believe.
There you go. And
of course, I know that.
We won it 2 years in a row, didn't we?
No, it was a couple years. It was 2006 and 2009. I will not miss a parade either. So go on, Jackie. Then we are moving on from this. Go on.
Yeah, I was just saying, you know what? LA has a ton of Steelers fans. Tons. Shocking amounts. It was not hard to find Steelers fans in LA, even with all the teams coming in right before I moved, because I moved shortly after that out of Los Angeles. It was Steeler bar, Steeler bar, Steeler bar, Steeler bar everywhere. It was rad. It was pretty rad, I have to say.
Hey, thank you. Go on, Tom. What do you want to add there?
I was just going to say, because you were in LA, right, Tom?
I go out every once in a while, so I've been going up. Yeah.
When you were talking about that story, when you were in that bar,
that was Huntington Beach, because I got a hat was Huntington Beach. It was a bar, 2nd Street or something, upstairs.
So,
go on.
So close to in the LA sort of general vicinity. I mean, a little south of LA, right? But yeah, I was wondering if they just weren't used to sort of the way things are done in the parking lots around football stadiums back east, because I'm not sure that there's a huge when they used to be LA, the Rams, or even there's not much of a football culture probably in Huntington Beach, and they were probably a little bit taken aback by your the fervor and vigor with which you were putting down beers cheering for the Steelers.
That is fair. And who knew that you're not allowed to just mosh everywhere? Moshing is cool. Fans mosh, you push everybody and jump up and down. That's just part of Johnny. That's part of that passion of what if our communities were so passionate they moshed with each other? Maybe at Creative Con, everybody will be so psyched up they'll just start pushing each other. My wife always says, I hate when you start moshing. She does not like it. She's like, I don't like that, Dom. So Tristan, what do you want to add in all this, man? We're talking building community. You got any tips or questions?
You're taking me back to being a kid and being at metal concerts and dancing in fields to throwing my heads around. But no, I'm going to skip that topic for now. That used to be more my end than a Taylor Swift concert. That's not my generation. So, but no, what's it? Community and regularity. I think you were talking about that before of sort of committing that sort of regularity and the honesty. That's what I'm trying to up my game with both booking guests and getting shows out. Trying to be more honest and accountable to myself to get that stuff rolling and try and step up my game when there are so many people who are are way more professional than me in the room. But I've been doing it for a few years, so I need to be more professional myself. So that's my vibe at the moment. So
Just to double back on this, so how often do you put out shows right now?
I put them out monthly, or like every 4 weeks, and I'm trying to get it down to like 3 or 2 weeks. So that's the thing. So it's like a sideline to the agency work. So
any tips from John or Jason, Julie on consistency? How, is there a way to make it easier? Is it just what can you do? Make it easy.
Schedule your time. It's just that simple. You schedule this is a hobby / leisure time. So if you're making, like, you're coming on Clubhouse or you're making content, you make it that certain day. It's a non-negotiable. Think this is fulfillment for yourself before others. When you make content, you're making it for you, which interprets out to people. People say, well, no, I'm making it for my public. Well, your public don't know nothing really about you unless you're giving them food. People come to your table if they like your food, if they like the way you sound, the way you tell your story. And when you make it consistent, it's like people come back to branded niche style content. So, for example,
Jason,
I got to
hold
listen.
on, Jason, you're on fire here. This Feed Me. I want you to take what you're talking about and use it, man. This is good stuff. Go on.
Yeah. So if you're feeding, if you're giving, like when you ever go to food truck alleys, I don't know if you have them in Pittsburgh or where you're at, but out here in California, there's lots of food truck alleys in LA, in the Bay Area, the Central Valley. You have all these different choices to pick a different truck, and there's always tables somewhere. So the thing is, it's like people like what they smell, and if it smells good and it tastes good, they'll keep coming back, and then they'll talk for you without your social media or anything. It's the same way with what you're producing. You want consistency with your crowds. You want to build a crowd. You want to build super fans. What are the relationships you're building with those? So they keep coming back because you're giving them more to be curious about. I'll just stop there. There's plenty more
Yeah, you're
people
doing
who have
good.
more information.
Go on, Tom. Do your thing.
Yeah, thanks. So thanks for that, Jason. And I want to jump in, and I just want to kind of like dive, like, I think one sort of layer deeper on what you're talking about there. And by that, I mean, you're talking about like food truck alley. So I'll just kind of continue with that, that as a metaphor, right? At the end of the day, people go to food truck alleys, they find these favorite food trucks, they sort of take off. I think one of the most famous examples, is what's his first? I can't think of the chef's first name. Roy Choi. Roy Choi with his Korean taco truck in LA.
Oh my God, his food's so amazing.
Yeah, became a sensation, right? And what you just said right there is what I want to hit on, right? Like, took off, became a sensation. He's now got restaurants all over the place. He's been in all kinds of media. Like, I mean, like, it completely changed his life, the lives of people who work for him. Grew his company, et cetera, et cetera. But at the core of that, at the base of that, the foundation of all that is exactly what you just said, Jason. His food is amazing, right?
And he's relatable. You can meet him. That's the big thing. He's relatable.
Right. But I think what I'm getting at is the food is amazing. So the point is that your marketing can be fantastic. Your branding can be fantastic. You can be consistent, show up, park that truck every workday, for lunch for like a local area, whatever the case may be, right? You can be there every day of the week. But if the food isn't amazing, if the food isn't delicious, they won't come back. So you have to make sure that you have value for the audience, value for the community. And Sean mentioned this in the chat, the difference between audience and community. I think there is a distinction to be made, but I think there's also a lot of crossover, and we can hash through that some other time. I don't want to sidetrack myself too much, but if you don't have good food, if it doesn't taste delicious, none of the rest of it matters, right? So make sure the food is delicious first, and then build the branding and the marketing and the consistency around that. But you got to have something that people value, or else none of the rest of it matters, right? So make your food delicious, whatever that may be.
Well, Tom, I want to also bring something to bear in mind. It's like, how do people really enjoy what they're experiencing? And it's what they're doing, their activity wise, timing. One thing that I thought about is like, when you actually release is not the peak of when they're going to listen. So when is the peak time of when listen or consumption takes place? Mornings, most likely. That's usually the hit time. Mid-afternoon, yeah, it can happen. Evening for late owls, but that really depends on the style of content. So I think it is, don't worry about when it launches, or concern yourself about where you can push advertising for your market, for your brand, to those peak style listeners. So that's what I also wanted to add in there.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I agree with you. I hear what you're saying. I think that's like a tertiary concern, though, in my mind, right? Like the primary concern is, does the food taste good, right? Just make sure the food tastes good. So Sean, what do you think? I know you mentioned the difference between audience and community. Do you think it's important to make sure your community, you're making food that your community loves?
Sean, quick, and then we're going to Johnny. Go on, buddy.
Yeah, I think for a couple things. So, especially with what we're talking about with Taylor Swift, in a short bite, there, it's world building. And if you look at all the little Easter eggs she puts in her video, she puts it in the concert. It's the red era. It's this era. It's going through, every set is different, and the loyalty she builds. It's world building. And with those little Easter eggs, it's giving the audience a sense of community, a sense of belonging, escape from their quote unquote regular life. So when you build that world, it's inclusive. And quickly, when I was talking about audience versus community, audience is a one-way conversation. I talk, they listen. Community is I talk, they listen, and they talk to each other. Julie was mentioning this earlier. And when you know that difference, and initially, I guess you'll start out with audience, but then encourage everyone else to communicate with each other. That is where the community gets momentum and starts growing. And to Tristan's point there, I would just say, Tristan, and I've had this with a lot of customers, and I'll wrap up, depending how long your show is, do a part 1 and part 2. And then that's 2 weeks of content. Release part 1, then release part 2. Then now you're publishing twice a month, and you can go from there.
You got it. Yeah, he's thinking about it. Okay, good stuff, Sean. Thank you, everybody. Not the smartest guys in the room. We do this every Wednesday, 9:30 to 11. We're live streaming it, trying to share it in as many places as can be. And hey, maybe somebody's listening on Twitch or on Facebook while they're working, and they pick up one tip from each of you. So thank you, Johnny. Oh, go on, Tom. What do you got?
I was just going to say, while you're doing the reset, Dom, I thought it was important that we talk about where we're live streaming.
Okay, do it, man. Do it. Get on it.
Because I think it's important that not only the people here know, but the people that might pick it up on Facebook or LinkedIn know that it's also available to watch on YouTube, on your channel, on my channel. It's also available on Twitch. It's also available on Twitter. The site formerly known as Twitter, I guess, x.com or whatever current lunacy it's undergoing. But yeah, we're live streaming all over the internet. And I was saying before in the chat, the reason why my audio sounded trash at the beginning was because of a setting on Restream.io, which is the platform we use to live stream this. It's how we have this set up so you can actually see the Clubhouse or a Clubhouse screen on the live stream. So you can see all the folks that are in the room with us on Clubhouse. You can see when they're talking. And you can actually see Dom and myself in real time as we're having these conversations. We're both on camera each week, every time. Dom's got 2 thumbs up and a giant smile going right now. But yeah, so that's how we handle it. We live stream it all over the place, and super grateful for the community that we've built here. And I think of this really as a community because it is not only us talking to you and you guys talking amongst each other, but it's you guys talking back to us too. And it's really a conversation that we have every week with all of you. So we appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of this community and being the smart people in the room because Dom and I are not the smartest guys in the room. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, well said, Tom. Thank you. Johnny, man. Okay, Johnny, weigh in. We got Johnny, then Debbie. Oh, yeah. Johnny, then Debbie, then Dr. Tachi. Let's go. Hey, Dr. Tachi, nice to see you. Jackie, Trish, Kathy. Kathy's up on stage. Good. Okay, Johnny, what do you got for us, man? Weigh in on all this.
Well, first of all, I will not be able to comment on that international best-selling music superstar because of NDAs. However, I am obsessed with the whole idea of tribalism and capturing that. And it didn't occur to me until you mentioned it about Billy Joel, that there is something generational about that. So when we're looking at, sports teams, sports team loyalty tends to pass down from generation to generation. I'm a Browns fan, not because I like football. Actually, I think football and basketball would be a whole lot more enjoyable if there were more choreographed musical numbers. But I will root for the Browns because my dad did, and because my brothers do, and my grandfather did. And when I'm thinking about music artists that are multi-generational hit makers like Billy Joel, like Kiss, like Alice Cooper. When you go to their concerts, you see grandparents, parents, kids, and sometimes grandkids all together at those events. So there's something very generational about that. And I'm not sure how we can capture that or how we capture that, but that just occurred to me when you were talking about Billy Joel. So there's something else to be said about that generational aspect as well.
Johnny, what right on? And how do you pick it up? I mean, it's just one more way that the community is stronger. Like my son has worn a Packers jersey. I'm like, you ain't coming to the game with me wearing that dumb jersey. Like he might hate the Steelers for years and years or not appreciate them. Like, but then maybe someday he's gonna remember the tailgates with my dad, or that day TJ Watt did this, and maybe he'll pass it on to his kids and take them to the game someday. So that community that's so ingrained, anybody that has tips on how we can build that kind of community, it's just, if we could do that, people would be moshing at our events. That's what we want. Debbie, what do you got for us? My friend Debbie, my dear friend Debbie, how you doing today? Any thoughts on building community or questions you want to ask all these superstars? Go on, my friend.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really sitting back and listening and taking this all in, and I think everyone has made some very valid points. And that's kind of what I'm trying to absorb as I'm trying to build my brand and, with my books and all that good stuff. It's showing up, it's being consistent, it's being authentic, and providing the service, and so that the word of mouth spreads. So I will land my plane.
Well, you are definitely building a brand and starting to share your message. And sometimes we all do this. So I'm guilty. We all compare ourselves to other people's brands, other people's message. Oh, why is Mr. Beast doing this? He's giving out Porsches. He got 1 million views. I got 300. He's got 10 million views. I got 10 views. What the, right? But you can't, it's comparison is the thief of joy. So I would say you are helping people. Just keep sharing that message. You help one person, help another person. If we can remember that, you'll be in good. We'll each be in good shape. Okay, Dr. Tachi, haven't seen you for a while, but I want to let you know. We'll see if Tom picks his head up on this. I went to a new coffee shop today, networking in person this morning, and I got a cold brew. I got a salted caramel in it, and he's like, "There's sugar in it." I said, "Oh, just bring me up some sugar." There was an upstairs too. Then they bring all the drinks up. So I put a pack of sugar in and another pack of sugar in. So at about 40 minutes later, it was and that's probably why I'll probably crash here in 10 minutes, but about 40 minutes later, it was my turn to speak. We each do a 2-minute or whatever, 5-minute. And right before, I thought I was going to have to like leave. I was so like jittery from from all the coffee. It was like hitting at one time. So I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I might have to take it down a notch.
All right. So first of all, I was gonna give you a good natured ribbing and asking if you went to a tea party this morning, because it was at the Steep Mountain Tea Company, and it says tea room on your post on Facebook. I saw it right before we got on.
Yeah, you're right. Steep.
says
What was it called again? It was my first time.
Steep Mountain Tea Company.
Okay, Steep Mountain Tea.
It says tea room, so I was gonna break your chops about having a tea party and ask you if you had any cucumber or watercress sandwiches. But I do think it's also hilarious that somehow you think the jitters were from the coffee and not from the like 1,400 grams of sugar that were in the coffee that you had. Like, it's not the caramel, it's not the sugar you added on top of the caramel, it's the caffeine. I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so.
Wait a minute. Let's just address the elephant in the room.
What
Dom
is
is naturally on edge and jittery all the time. It doesn't matter how much coffee he drinks, how much sugar he consumes. He's always going to be like that, looking around, ready for the next thing. Oh, I'm getting bored. I got to go.
Right. No, fair point, Johnny. So
that's nice. That's nice. Go on.
Contextually, jittery for Dom, right? So we're talking jittery for Dom, not jittery for your average person. But yeah, I think it's hilarious that you think like, could it be the caffeine? Maybe, but you consume caffeine on a regular basis, right? So it's the caffeine. It's not something like you never have, and you didn't have like 4 cold brews, right? So I think it might be the sugar, bud. I think it might be. And I can't imagine how sweet that drink must have been. And I can't fathom drinking it. It must have been drinking like a coffee flavored like ice cream sundae melted down is probably what it tasted.
Yeah, that sounds exactly. It was sweet.
I think it was adrenaline. Nah, he's on adrenaline. He's happy to see them people. That's really what it was.
It could be. It had been a while. It was sweet. It was pre-COVID before I had been to this group. So I was just, and that's something we talk about in this room, getting out in person and doing your thing, meeting people and all. Don't be afraid to, well, I love Clubhouse. I want you here, but don't be afraid to get out and meet 6 people, 7 people. So Dr. Tachi, weigh in on all this. Where are you steering us? And we did miss you. I've been going to your live stream just and commenting down in the feed just to see you. What's going on?
Oh, yay. Yeah, it feels like forever, but I think it's only been like 2 weeks, but that does feel like forever.
Forever, yeah. It's like that
yeah.
each day without Dr. Tachi, my soul hurts.
Forever, regardless, 2 weeks, it's too long. Too long.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I won't make it 2 weeks next time.
Yeah.
And you are free to have whatever type of coffee you want. I just asked you don't ask for it at Waffle House. That's all. That's it. So
hey, how was a guy to know? How was a guy to know? Go on, Dr. Tachi.
You okay? Oh, go there. It makes me laugh every time. Think about this whole thing is I think the whole building of community and marketing mix that Taylor Swift has is definitely brilliant. Even if that was not the initial intent, back when she started, it's blown into something like that into what it is now. I would say the same thing with Beyonce. Beehive fans are equally as passionate and go just as hard. If you look at what happened with the tour just ended, and I think it was in Kansas City, the Renaissance tour that Beyonce had, huge, and she formed community. And I know Taylor Swift does the same type of thing, but Beyonce did it around one of the tour dates was around her birthday. And really, she asked all the fans to wear silver. When I tell you every silver thing on Amazon, Temu, Shein, any place you can think of was sold out, I'm sure it was. And that's because she's looking to form that level of community. And now I'm not a Swiftie, nor am I really a member of the Beehive. So I don't know really enough about Taylor Swift to say what she does, but I know that she forms community, as does Beyonce. But I'll give you, I think, better examples of this, because I think part of community is when people answer back, where there's a channel for like feedback, and there's a reciprocal relationship in a sense. Now, both of them have too many fans for that to always be the case. But I'll give an example. Donnie Wahlberg, um, he was part of New Kids on the Block. There is a huge contingency of what they call blockheads, and they go. New Kids on the Block is still touring, still doing dates. There are people, that these women especially, that travel from city to city to city, especially the ones that were into them like in the late 80s, early 90s, really more so, that still are into them. They go everywhere, and especially, in their hometown, Boston, very strong blockhead contingency, but all over the place. But Donnie Wahlberg really makes an effort to get out there to fans, and pull in the blockheads. Another example of which, and I'm a semi blockhead, but not a huge one, but semi. But I'm more of a D Nice stan. So for those of you that are into hip hop and you remember Boogie Down Productions, D Nice was part of them, and then he became his own rapper on his own, and now he's done a whole other lot of other things. Well, during the pandemic, he got big because he was doing DJ sets on Instagram, because he was trying to keep himself occupied. A lot of his DJ dates got canceled, so he just started playing music on Instagram. Now it's turned into this whole thing where he does. It's called Club Quarantine, and he does it live. He DJ'd at the White House and all sorts of places. So he's big time DJ now. And the thing is, because he started on Instagram with like 100 something people watching, and he's pulled in and he calls you out. If you back channel him, he will answer you back. It's amazing. So I think that Donnie Wahlberg and New Kids on the Block and D Nice, those are, to me, better examples of forming community, because it's basically reciprocal. And there is, even though Taylor Swift and Beyonce are very appreciative of their fans, I think Donnie Wahlberg and D Nice do a better job of incorporating the feedback and showing their appreciation. That's just my thought.
I think it's I like that you brought up and you went back to New Kids on the Block, Dr. Tachi, because one of the things that popped into my head is I remember hearing a story a few years ago, and I just pulled it up, that while a lot of people kind of thought they had faded into obscurity, fans of New Kids on the Block know that going as far back as like 2012, according to what I found, they've been doing a cruise every year, and selling out, apparently, year after year after year after year, doing this cruise concert, with a Carnival Cruise Line ship, and selling out a Carnival Cruise Line ship full of fans, and doing a fan cruise where, like, you get to meet them, they're on the boat with everybody, like, you can't remain separate, you're there with all of your fans, and it's like, it's an incredible way to build community around an act or a band or a group like that. They're actually starting. There's a group of comedians that are starting to do the exact same thing. Bert Kreischer, and a bunch of other comedians. If you're familiar with the Machine story, where Bert Kreischer, as a comedian, he's doing a cruise with a bunch of comedians coming up, which I'm sure is going to be ridiculous. But yeah, I love that you brought that up, because I think there's so many unique, interesting ways that a lot of groups have over the years, and performers have over the years, built community around their brands. And New Kids on the Block is no stranger to doing that. Obviously, they've been doing it for a long time, and it isn't just by getting up on stage. So yeah, I think it was a great point. So thanks for that. Jackie, what do you think about building community, or Dom's coffee order, or my audio quality? What do you got for us?
Okay. So I'm going to talk about my community and how I am trying to build, because I'm still new. I'm hitting the pavement, everybody. I'm on mom apps. For those of you that don't know, I run a parenting podcast. My number one episode that I'm releasing all of my audio onto YouTube right now, and it's following suit, is my one about postpartum depression. And it's funny, we're talking about this morning because just silly, like I sing in my car after I drop my son off at school, and I turned on Jennifer Hudson when she was on Dreamgirls, the big song, the "And I'm Telling You," that one, and the passion in her voice and how she can freaking like it grabs you, right? My goal for my community is the same. You're listening to my words and you're like, damn, I feel her. I've been there before, or I know somebody, and now I understand better what they were going through. It's filling their heart space. I'm trying to do I do a postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety support group. I tried it on Clubhouse. It's not working so well. So I went back to the mom app, Peanut. It's been working amazingly. I'm getting more followers for my podcast. I'm planning on doing public speaking. I'm going to start taking some classes. I'm going to do more of my TikTok lives around this. And it's just being relatable. I think in the parenting space, it's definitely being relatable. I'm not the here's a great recipe that's healthy in this. I'm like, damn, let's talk about how we fed our kids mac and cheese 5 times this week because we just didn't have the freaking strength to do anything but that. And it's the heart space that I'm going for, like relatable. As far as like Taylor Swift, I am not a Swiftie. My husband is. My husband actually worked for a day or 2 or 3, I can't remember, on the Beyonce tour, the HBO, well, not the HBO, AMC, whatever special's coming out. That's part of his footage that he shot. And that is an amazing community as well. Like, I think anybody that is putting out there like good energy for yourself, good for you. I love it. I'm a little weary of Beyonce though, but I mean, I love her, but still I'm like, I don't know what it is about her. But yes, heart space. That is all my community. Honestly, audience can be audience. I'm all about the community. Like, I'm all about understand me. I understand you. Hey, you're a part of my community. Come tell your story on here. I'm not just taking celebrities. I'm not just taking doctors. I'm not just taking coaches. You come, let's talk about your stuff. Let's get people comfortable with your situation. Let's start your healing process by talking about what's going on in your life. And that's how I plan on building my community. And I have a little one right now, but I'd rather grow slow and have the people that truly care.
Jackie, thanks. Hey, I want to say if you're ever looking for guests on the podcast, I always have authors that are coming across sharing stories about parenting and things like that. So we'd have to talk in the back channel. Tom, go on. You had something to add.
I was just going to say you want to build that relatability with your community, with your audience. I think the number one best way to do that is through authenticity. So be relentlessly authentic with your content. Don't be afraid to share triumphs as well as failures, and really actually maybe dwell on and spend more time on the failures and what you learn from them and how you improve going forward, rather than on the successes. It makes for much more interesting and relatable content, I think. Johnny, I saw you posted in the chat. I wanted to go to you. I apologize. I thought you were just clapping before. I didn't realize you were flashing to say something, but you said you got a story about Annie people. Tell me more.
Yeah. So I had forgotten completely about this until Dr. Tashi was talking about the blockheads. So 30 years ago, I was Rooster Hannigan in a production of Annie, and it was one of my first professional roles. And then a couple years later, I played Daddy Warbucks in another production. But every show we did over the course of that summer, we did 4 weeks, and every single show we did, there was a group of people called Annie people. and they travel the country going to theatrical productions of the musical Annie, from city to city, town to town, and they're organized and it's a thing. And I completely forgotten about this. And what it really all boils down to is these people who share a love of a classic IP. And so they're not necessarily creating community around a personality, they are creating community around a common interest that they can share together. And so as I'm thinking about this, maybe that's how we tap into that magic as independent creators, producers, writers, authors, podcasters, etc., is find a way not to build a community around us or even our work, but create a space for people to create a community around the IP, the work we are creating. I don't know if that made sense, but I was just reminded of Annie people when Dr. Tachi was talking about that.
Yeah, I think that's I think what you're the distinction I would draw there, Johnny, is that, you know, one is sort of a cult of personality, right? Like if you just want people to subscribe and follow because they love you versus subscribe and follow and become a part of your community because they love what you're about, right? And I think there's a big difference there. Like, is it do they love you and what you do, or do they love what you're about or what you're into, or is it because of shared values and shared interests, like you're talking about? And I think shared values and interests are a much better way, stronger way to build community. And I think your story about Annie people just goes to show that no matter how specific and maybe off the mainstream your interests are, like traveling around the country and watching different theater productions of Annie, which is a very specific, narrow group to get into. Like there is a community for that, right? I think it just goes to show that there's a community for anything. And Dom actually said, back channel to me, like Iron Man, right? And he's 100% right. I mean, Iron Man, the Iron Man triathlon community is global, and anywhere I went, if I wanted to, I could reach out to find other people who are interested in Ironman, go train with them, run with them, ride with them, meet up with them for a coffee, and we would have something to talk about and something in common to share, and we would feel like we were part of a community no matter where we go. So it's cool. I think common interests are really, really good glue to use to build a community. So thanks for hitting on that.
Leslie, go on. You flashed, and then we'll go to Trish. Go on.
Yeah, thanks, Dominic. I'll keep it quick. Yeah, like I'm an ancient aliens geek, so I go to all of their lectures when an archaeologist comes to like Philadelphia. But what I wanted to say is, and it really resonated, Dominic, with me when you said sugar, like brain freeze. I'm going to put this out there, and I hope you guys will see my magic and passion by offering you all 45 minutes, half an hour consultation, 15 minutes Q&A. If you, Dominic, want to set up a Zoom chat for anyone that's here today, all the podcasters that has given me words of wisdom over the last 3 years, I'd like to give back. And you know, Dominic, you gave me this amazing contact who I had on my podcast, Keep It Dirty, and I appreciate that. Just throwing it out there. You could back channel me, Dominic. Would love to just share about what you're eating and how you're feeling and what mood you are feeling when eating certain foods. So I just love you guys, and thanks for having this room, because I don't have that much time off, the meetings and whatnot to come on Clubhouse, but I will for you. So thank you.
Hey, Leslie, thank you for the offer. We appreciate you. So we always appreciate people that are passionate. Share that passion, man. Your message can help somebody else. Okay, before it gets too late, we're going to go to Trish, Kathy, Phil, and Brian. We talked to Tristan a little bit, but before it goes too late, any time we get to this point of the show, it is time for show and tell. And today, show and tell, I just want today's show and tell is a Bill Mazeroski bobblehead. Bill Mazeroski hit a big home run against the Yankees back in the day and won the World Series in Game 7. So this little guy, Bill Mazeroski, he's in the Hall of Fame. But why this is important to me, I remember like when I was in like college, I always knew I wanted to open a restaurant for a long time. And I was going to have sports memorabilia on the wall. And a lot of what you see behind me is the sports memorabilia from the restaurant. I had it in boxes for years after the restaurant closed. I didn't know what to do with it. But this Mazeroski, I remember when I was in college, we went to a game one time and all my friends, they're buying booze and, just like getting after it. And I was sneaking down the rows, picking up bobbleheads that people were leaving in the stands. I'm like, oh, another Mazeroski. And they're like, Dom, what a geek. But and I was talking about it last night to my wife, like sometimes my goals might be 10 years out, 15 years out, but you keep moving forward. And this little Mazeroski that I picked up when my buddies were all drinking is part of, it's so small. That day it's so small, but you stack Mazeroskis and keep moving forward, and maybe we will each end up where we want to go. So Mazeroski bobblehead, that's what you got. Tom, what do you think?
One step or one bobblehead at a time.
That's right. That's right.
That's the I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Anybody that's not here today, they're gonna be like, "What the hell is that guy talking
You
about?"
too can accomplish your dreams one bobblehead at a time.
Yes, that's what we should title this room.
I love it. I actually I want a bobblehead of my own at some point. Like that's I think that would be hilarious. I do have kind of a bit of a noggin on me as it is, and I think with the fact that I wear the hat all the time, and you could here I'll do a little demo for you, right? Like you can just see it. Like I could be a bobblehead. I could be my own bobblehead.
Could we see a Not the Smartest Guys bobbleheads like Tom and Dom, and followed up by create the Not the Smartest Guys cruise meetups? I mean, it's a possibility.
See, all that stuff. We should,
I like
Jason.
it.
That's all good stuff, man. Anybody build that community. Like Julie has her meetups where she's taking people from online to offline to another group where it's more intimate. If you can have I hope to see you at Creative Con. I mean, anywhere like I drove halfway across the state one day to meet Charlie Cifarelli. If you can, anytime you can meet up with somebody, do it. I drove to Chicago, slept at Brian Swift's house one time, man. And I thought they would put me in the basement, but they did not. But okay, we are moving on. We're moving on to Trish. Trish, what say you about all this? Ask a question or just jump in on what we've been talking about?
No, I just wanted to jump in on what's been going on in the room. But I do agree, and I do relate to what a lot of people have said, especially Debbie. Debbie's gone out the room now. But yeah, showing up as your authentic self, on days that you might feel down, you might not feel the best, you still show up, you let yourself be the light, and then you also take feedback and give feedback on along of the journey. So, that's just, basically what my input on it, be your authentic self, show up for yourself, and let yourself be the light. And it'll attract the people that want to come.
Trish, I'm digging it, and I'm going to make sure that I'm Trish 706. I'm going to make sure right now I'm going to her Twitter. That's why it says Tom's looking at me like that.
Oh, no, I am so sorry. That Twitter is just the Twitter handle that I added in there. I'm more on, you can find me up under like the Paris Parties and Spa, like under Facebook, Instagram.
All right, let me go through your bio.
Okay.
All right, let me check this out. Let me see. Okay. Add some more stuff to that, Trish. I want more. Now that I'm a Trish fan, I want more so I can find you other places. Okay, Kathy, what do you got for us today? How do you want to weigh in all this? Nice to see you again. I need a cool picture like Kathy. Go on.
Hello. You know that picture? I was in Seattle, and they have this place where you take selfies. It's called like the Selfie Studio or something, where they have like different booths that are all set up for you. You just go and you pose and you take pictures. It's like the coolest thing. So if you ever go to Seattle, check it out. But side note, community. I am torn on this one, folks. I'm torn because there's this side of me that I'm not a fan of this us and them thing, and I think some of you have heard me talk about this before. And I tread carefully with it because I don't want to create a come over here because you're special, because you're this, because you're that, and everybody else is like, whatever. Um, so I'm a little bit torn. At what point does it become a little bit of a group thing, a little bit of a cultish thing, if I can be bold enough to say that? Um, and then the other part of that is also you got the community, but then sometimes they're just lurkers and they're just, there to just watch and they don't do anything. They don't participate. So I'm at this, like, I've been thinking about both of those things. I don't know if that makes any sense. Would love to hear from any of you that want to contribute to my random thoughts at the moment.
Well, Tom, weigh in on that. But hey, so what if if there's lurkers? I mean, sometimes you put yourself out there, and I want to. I don't want to, because sometimes I would congratulate people if they get like a comment or something like that. But and I don't need to go that far. But
we'll take your cult following. Don't
yeah,
worry, we'll take them.
you put yourself out there, and now your message is being shared. And if somebody wants to come around, well, that's because you've succeeded to a certain level where that's going to start happening, Kathy. So, on one way, the lurkers, it means hey, you're doing all right. So, Tom, what you want to weigh in on the community and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, Kathy, from what you were describing, it sounds to me like you're talking about maybe not a healthy community, maybe one that had a lot of clicks, or maybe you just had a bad
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
with a
That's what I
particular
don't want to
community.
become. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
and
really
I and I
not
I,
putting
I
that.
think yeah, I mean, I think first of all, like obviously, it's unfortunate you had a bad experience with a community that was very cliquish, but also I think that's just a clear indication that that's not a community you really want to be a part of, right? Like you don't need those people, right? You don't need that community. And Dom just threw in the back channel between us, like, yeah, it's bad leadership, right? Like, and I think that's 100% right. It's bad community leadership if you allow your community to devolve into sort of a cliquish, I don't know what, middle school, you know, uh, uh, kind of thing. So like I would say if you get in, if you come across a community that is like that, yeah, just walk away. You don't need them in your life, and you're going to be better off for not trying to be a part of that. But I don't think most communities, and especially not good communities, I don't think good communities are like that at all. I think good communities are inclusive. They're welcoming. I mean, look at the diversity of experience and thought and background of the people in this room, right? And in this community, we have folks like myself and Dom. We've got radio hosts. We've got people with interest in everything from philosophy to fitness, and everything in between, and inspiration. I mean, all kinds of stuff, right? So like I think communities, if they're done well, if they're constructed well, they should be inclusive and welcoming, because good communities recognize that strength comes from the members of the community, right? And not by being exclusionary. So yeah, I just think, yeah, if you come across that in a community, it's a clique, it's not a community, and you don't need petty people. So walk on by.
Yeah, walk on by. Good one, man. Yeah, don't let people bring you down. Just move on, fly high, soar like those eagles high. All right, Phil, man, I've been seeing you here for a couple weeks. I'm glad you came up on stage. What's up, my friend? You want to ask a question or weigh in on building community? What do you got for us, my friend?
Good morning, everybody. Hey, first of all, Dominic, any coffee is good. Tom, your audio's fixed, and community. Not so much the rock star stuff, but if anybody remembers the Bulls championships from 91 to 98, I had an opportunity to travel all around Chicago as a service person all day listening to the rise of sports radio, sports talk radio. And it was pretty amazing because, yes, we're all fans, but it was when those radio fans called in and chatted with their morning or afternoon host, or met up at a meetup at a bar or a restaurant to talk about all the championship runs and their fandom. It was when the community touched each other and made connections with each other, either new friendships or going to games or doing business with each other, which I ended up buying a brand new truck from a fan on the sports station. And I found him out and went to his dealership just to buy a truck because he was a sports radio fan like me. So that's how I see the community can grow even beyond just the general fandom of sports or music. But in real time here on Clubhouse, pretty amazing the last almost 3 years now for me. I found community. I find community with you all. I've been getting to know some of you all sitting in the room as I'm building towards launching a podcast, and I have a really good vibe with John because I do security electronics, and John has been a lifelong security professional in law enforcement, and we just have a common thought. But in Clubhouse, I just watched a friend of mine, Glenn P. Brooks Jr., bootstrapping business and ministry, that I got up 700 some almost episodes, and he just finished his show final last week. Every day almost for 700 and some episodes every day at 6 o'clock Central Time, just to sit in the room and hang out with my community, the ones I never ever met in real person. And we've done business and we've connected, and it was pretty amazing. And through there, I've got community in other places, Amazon. So there are a bunch of friends of mine that, again, into this Clubhouse space a little bit. We are all Amazon live influencer creators where we go live on Amazon. And in that circle, there are probably a couple thousand of them, but we've had those couple thousands in some groups where we get together and we know each other. And every now and then, here in Milwaukee and other places, we see each other. And that's the pretty cool about it. We get to do business with each other, but we support, and they get to know you. One of the things all my Amazon friends like Chris Stone and the others will often remember one about me, and I'm going to let you go because I was that one Amazon guy that decided to do an Amazon live stream from a Harley Davidson and sell product all at the same time, and they didn't realize it could be done. And so whenever I pop on one of their podcast live streams or somewhere, that's what they remember me for, the guy that did the live stream on Amazon from a motorcycle. It's crazy. Community is when you touch, guys, and I'm glad I had a chance to touch with you today.
Hey, Phil, thank you, brother. Tell me about this Amazon live stream. Just back it up because I don't know. I don't know what that is. So I know some people sell products using, but I don't get what you mean by live stream on an Amazon. Am I missing the boat on something?
Many YouTubers and people use Amazon affiliate links in their videos to sell products. But
Okay.
Amazon Influencer Program is one more step above that, where they have a QVC type channel, and it's in their Amazon app page. Click in the toolbar and find Amazon Live, and you'll find 24 hours a day those selected, I'm guessing, few thousand people that Amazon allows on their platform to click on a live stream anytime they want to talk about anything they want to and sell anything that's available on Amazon and earn commissions. In my case, I talk about smart home and security, and I can go for a half hour to 2 hours. I've done 3 hour live streams on Amazon before. And it's basically, if you've got enough social media following and you apply, you can get in there to actually get a live stream platform right in the shopping aisles of Amazon. Some of the notable names, oh my gosh, just click on someone's bio. And when you click in their Instagram bio and you click on their link tree, and you click on their Amazon link, if they're Amazon live streamer, you'll know it very quickly. Monty Weaver, Chris Stone, those guys from the Dealcasters, they're all on the live stream with us. Monty runs one of the biggest Amazon live groups from Facebook to Clubhouse, and it's a fun time. You all should try it.
No, thanks, man. Appreciate that. And I'm on the affiliates. I'm always telling people affiliates at, as long as it's on message with what you do. Like if Tom believes in certain cameras, why wouldn't he say that I use this mic. This mic will help you be your best, and share that affiliate link or something. But go on, Tom.
Yeah, does it work the other way? Can I do it to get people to stop using ring lights?
Oh no, back to
Yes.
that. Back to that again. Hey, Dr. Tachi, what do you want to add about it? We're going to go to, what do you want to add? You flash, Dr. Tachi. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just flashing in agreement with the Amazon thing. I'm an Amazon influencer as well.
How many
Although
followers do you need to have? I
you
must,
you
I put
you don't
stuff
have to
in.
have a lot. You did. To be honest, because I don't have like thousands of hundreds of thousands of followers, and I'm an Amazon influencer. So it just apply.
They
It
rejected me.
messages
I'm telling you. And I thought I had like in certain pages that I shared. I'm like, oh, I got this here.
they rejected you,
Yeah, they
Dr.
wanted
Langan?
nothing to do with my funny business. So
Well, try again. I
yeah.
would say try again. Don't stop. But I will say this: Amazon, for me anyway, is the type of animal that you really have to uh, put time and energy into connecting the dots there, because you're not supposed to just like my show Mediascope. I can't just do Mediascope. I can, but then I need to really be looking at selling something. So I would never connect Amazon Live together when I'm doing Mediascope, because I'm not trying to subject the Mediascope audience to the constant barrage of selling. The point of Amazon Live is to actually put things that people can use and sell them. So the two audiences for me are a little bit mutually exclusive, and then the margins to me, if you're okay making minimum wage, then that's good. Unless you put a lot of time into it, where it does end up being, fruitful for you. And I've sold some things, but and then I put my time and energy where I see that it's 100% going to be fruitful. So just some things to think about. But Amazon Live, try it, apply again.
All right, we'll go. Well, maybe I was too hard on myself. Maybe rejection's part of life. I'll go back and try it again. Mr. Swift, you want to tell us about building community a little bit? How are you building community, or leave us with some motivation? What do you got for us?
No, I mean, it's a great topic. Building community, I find interesting because, in this may sound a little bit contrary to what people have said. Not everybody is made for every community, and I think it's okay if people don't fit into your community. I think we all need, and that goes back to being genuine. I think if you're genuine and you're going to find people that want to be into that community because they respect what you say, even though they may not agree with everything. Like Dom and I, we have differing opinions on numerous things, but overall, I respect him, and he's become a good friend. And I've been a part of this room and followed him and Tom for so long, as well as others. Dr. Tachi and John and Johnny that pretty much if they're in a place, uh, you're happy to be in that place. But it might not be for everybody, and I personally feel that's okay if you're not trying to exclude anybody. That's part of surrounding yourself with the people that you want to be a part of, and especially as we've all said, you are the sum of the five people you surround yourself with. And I'm a big proponent of, you don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. So I fit in well with this group and appreciate your guys' efforts every week. Thank you.
Brian, thank you. And that was a nice advertisement for us too. We should, if they still had clips, we could have clipped that and he going back to not the smartest guys in the room. So thank you. For me, like I have a community like Motivation Champs. We try to share inspiration, positivity, smiles, inspiring content, inspiring books, inspiring videos every day. There are people that say, like dear friends of mine that are like, it's enough, Dom. We don't want to hear it. We don't, it's phony, it's BS. It's just, hey, I got no beef with that. I tell anybody, I said, feel free to mute me. I get it. Not everybody's prepared. Not everybody's in the frame of mind. Maybe they don't like my ugly face. Whatever it is, I'm fine with, but I get understanding, like Brian says, not every community is for everybody. So don't be hurt if all of a sudden somebody just doesn't like what you have or it's not a fit. Different, whatever for different people. What's the metaphor, Tom?
I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. Everyone marches to the beat of their own drummer. I mean, I don't know.
Good. Check. Good.
Pick your
Okay.
niche.
Exactly.
What'd you say, Brian?
Oh, I said exactly.
Huh,
I mean,
yeah.
and that's okay. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, you don't have
As
to be
long
hurt by it. And like me and Brian could talk about a million different things. We could be on a completely different side of an issue. We're completely respectful for each other. I still know at his core, I love him to death, and he loves me to death and would be the first one to support me or have my back. So if we disagree on some whatever, well, that's because he's coming from here and I'm coming from here. And maybe someday we meet in the middle and have a beer or an iced coffee together. So, Tom, on that note, this is not the smartest guys in the room. I'm done talking. I've had enough. So you do your thing.
Well, I know what that means. When you say
Yep.
I'm done talking, I've had
I'm
enough.
done.
I know that it's time for me to do my very best, my level best, to come up with something interesting and erudite and memorable to say to wrap up the show for the week. So I wasn't sure until just a couple of seconds ago what I was going to talk about for this wrap up, but um, really, what I've landed on came out of the conversation uh, that we just finished with, and it comes down to this: when you're talking about Dom, when you were talking about how not everybody wants, people come back to you sometimes and they say, it's too much. I don't believe it. It feels like BS. It doesn't feel genuine because it's over the top, et cetera, et cetera. When people say that to you and you say, go ahead, mute me. I get it. It's not for everybody. I think there's a really important lesson in that. And there's two sides to it. And the first part of that lesson is a mistake that a lot of people make in business and when it comes to building community around their brands, right? And around their businesses. And that mistake is trying to make everybody happy, right? Businesses often fall into this trap, this cycle, and we do it in our personal lives too, of trying to make everybody happy. And the real problem with that is that when you think about it logically, it doesn't make any sense, because at the end of the day, say you're a business, right? How many customers, right? How many clients do you really need, right? And how big a community do you need to generate that number of customers or clients, right? If you think about it, if you're a small business owner, can you handle more than 100 clients at a time? Can you handle more than 200 or 500 or 1,000 customers, depending on what your business is, right? So how big is your community then? Is it maybe 10% of your community goes on to become customers? So now if you can only maximally handle 100 customers at a time, and you know that 10% of your community becomes customers, you only need to make 1,000 people happy in that community. That's all you need. And instead, people are driving themselves nuts, trying to make everybody happy, trying to attract millions of followers, trying to go for the quantity over quality approach. And it's completely misguided. So stop doing that. Good communities do not have to be massive communities, right? You are not going to generate a community. The likelihood is that you're not going to generate a community like Taylor Swift. You're not going to generate a community like Beyonce or New Kids on the Block. And maybe not even as big as the Annie people, right? But you can absolutely create a sustainable community, a positive community that supports your business. And be comfortable letting people go if they don't appreciate what the work that you're doing and the value you're creating for the community. Be comfortable letting them go. It's important to do that, right? You have to let them go. Stop. Please stop trying to make everybody happy all the time, because you can't. It's a fool's errand. And that's all I got for this week. So I want to thank everybody for being here this week. Thanks for being a part of this community. Thanks for helping Dom and I every week by being the smart people in the room, because everybody knows that he and I are not the smartest guys in the room. We will see you guys next week. at Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, like we do every week. If we missed you this week, apologies. We'll get to you next week. We promise. Come on back. We always welcome everybody up on stage, and we want to hear from all of you. So until then, have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the weekend. Peace and love to everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye, y'all.